Hi guys, Dan Hendriksen here at Torquay Golf Club. I'm out on the golf course. I thought I'd just play a few different shots for you today. This one in particular, I've got a ball that is now what I call in a downhill position. So ball is definitely moving down the slope. I'm out here on the 10th hole here at Torquay Golf Club. I've played a good drive, but I've got myself into a position where this ball is now, it's all downhill coming down here towards that green. So I've got a downhill shot now moving down towards that green. Just want to share with you something that I do when I'm setting up for this particular shot to ensure that I get the best strike I possibly can and ultimately get the best result I can. So let's hit some shots and show you what I'm doing. So first things first, we've got to accept that as we move into this position, we're going to be taking loft off the club slightly because I'm moving my weight, just letting it drift into this left-hand side. So I'm leaning now with the slope. I'm going to use my shoulders to kind of follow the slope here. Now, as I'm moving that weight forward, so as I'm letting that club kind of drift left on me, you can see that I'm going to start to move the strike location maybe a fraction higher in the face, and ultimately I'm going to take loft off the club. So as I get set up into that position, as I lean forward, you can see that that loft of that club is going to start to be taken off. So when I've got a 50-degree wedge here, I'm actually moving it more into, let's say, more of a pitching wedge. So this would be my gap wedge. It's now moving into a pitching wedge. Now I have to take this into consideration. As that ball comes out, obviously it's going to come out a lot lower than I would expect from this particular club because I've got less loft on it. So as I get myself set up, I want to make sure that I make contact with the golf ball first. What I see a lot of players doing is as they come in to help this ball in the air, they tend to start leaning backwards. So they lean back into the slope, which then ultimately allows them to bottom out, their bottom out position, the center point here, should we say, it starts to move backwards, and as they bottom out, the bottom of their arc of the swing, it starts to hit the ground here, and I see a lot of top shots or thin shots coming through from here. I like to make sure that I move the ball position slightly back in my stance just to make sure that I'm going to get connection with the ball first. I lean slightly towards the target, so I'm working with the slope. I'm taking the loft off the club, so I'm going to play for that when I play this particular shot. So lean with it, connect, and then do not lean back. I want to see you make sure you drive down and through with this shot. So there's just a little tip for you to hopefully help with those downhill shots. Again, I see a lot of players tending to want to lift the ball off this position. So work with the slope. Let your body just sort of lie with it. Don't fight against it. But make sure when you are setting up with that club that you're picking out to use, just make sure you remember that you're taking loft off that club, and therefore the ball's going to come out a little bit lower than you normally would expect. It's also going to come out with maybe a fraction less spin because you're leaning that club forward and you're hitting it maybe slightly higher in the face, which will reduce the spin slightly. So when that ball lands, it will come in at a lower descent angle, so it won't come in quite as high, and therefore the ball will then land and then sort of skip on more than what you would normally expect. So you're going to get a lot more run from this shot. Let me know, is it a shot that you like to play? Is it a shot that you feel like you can cope with yourselves, or has this helped you? Put your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to keep sending in your questions. I'll get out on the golf course a little bit more, maybe do a few more of these types of shots, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon.